Growing up in America, you're always taught don't judge people by the color of their skin, but you're never taught about judging people by their class. That's kind of some kind of unwritten rule. Now, it kind of plays itself in race and maybe political things, but as I've gotten older, I've noticed that it's kind of everywhere, your social class or economic class or whatever you want to talk about. Where you go to work, what neighborhood, where you grew up, the accent you use, the types of words you use, whether or not you use slang, what TV shows you watch. For me, it's so weird that it's almost like this open secret that we don't talk about where, and I see this all the time because, you know, since I, at work, I interact with certain people of XYZ social class, whether it be people who I guess are working hourly, minimum wage, retail, whatever you want to call it. Then there's people in college, they're college kids that may come from a middle, upper middle class or upper class background. And then I have my friends who I used to know back when back who I knew from before when I first went to college. And they're kind of just, college, XYZ, working a 9 to 5. And none of the worlds combined. I would never get people from Kava to mix from my college friends. It would just be so awkward. And even when I used to work at Shake Shack, I could never mix in with my college friends because, and it's funny that I did this so subconsciously. I didn't even think about that I was doing this, but I was doing it. And it's not like I was trying to do negative, and I think one of the problems I had is I always just thought, oh, you're working a terrible job, just go to school, you'll get a better job. But not everybody has those opportunities, and not everybody may have the ability or whatever to just go to school. And also, going to school isn't a one size fits all solution. As you're seeing with the layoffs, it's so interesting that for me, I never really realized that it's something that I see prevalent, and maybe I'm the only one that sees this. Maybe there's some kind of corner of America, because I'm mainly talking about the United States because that's where I live, where people of all social classes, people of all economic classes, people of all education backgrounds, they're all just mingling and jingling. But at least where I'm at, people kind of stay in their distinct boxes. And I'm not like some kind of bridge. I'm not here to unite people. I ain't the avatar, man. Like I'm doing my thing. But it's so interesting how even in my own personal life, when I'm talking to my friends from grad school, we don't talk about the same things I talk about at work. And then the things I talk about at work, I never talk about the things I do in college. And it's almost as if it's like I exist in three different worlds and I need a visa for all of them. And it's so weird navigating this because growing up, you're just, oh yeah, everyone be friends. But that's just not how people organize. People organize by values or by maybe how people look. But that's a topic for a different discussion. I ain't trying to talk about that right now. And it's so interesting to me because I talked about this back when I was in therapy. He's like, it's actually a good thing that people do this because you have like experiences. And while there is truth to it, and I'm not here to say, oh, we all need to sing Kumbaya. I ain't on that tune. I ain't on that wave yet. I do find it very fascinating how class does impact social interactions. Because when I'm at church, typically there's more of an upper middle class bent to it. I've noticed that for me, I kind of gravitate more towards people who are of similar backgrounds to me, which I don't even know anyone of my similar background, but I try to make do with what I have. But I've noticed that I don't really fit in with the majority. I never will fit in with the majority in anywhere. Even unless maybe in Uganda, who knows? Maybe if I was born and raised there, I would have. But definitely in America, I don't feel like whether it be when I'm surrounded either by white people or by black people or Hispanic people or Asian or whatever. I've noticed that I'm just a black sheep, literally and figuratively. But it's weird trying to navigate your social class because you do it so you don't even think about it. Like you don't even think about, like when I turn on the news, it's so interesting how like these people that are in the media, they're just so out of touch. And then I go and I talk to my friends, and they're not out of touch, but they just live a completely different reality. It's like this unwritten rule. It's this unwritten rule where thou shall not talk to thy millionaire or billionaire, or it's and it's maybe this is a human nature thing. Maybe we do kind of create hierarchies or create social structures to justify our surroundings. And I think for me, because I'm not the best at reading social things, but when I notice a pattern of behavior, it really makes me wonder, okay, is there something that, well, there's obviously something I'm missing. I'm not even, and it's funny because my mom even told me, Caleb, yeah, you're black, but what matters more is your race. No, no, it's not my race. What matters more is your class and your education than your race, because people are going to judge you more on that than they will, which is weird because I can't, like, you don't, unless you like walk around with like your degree or something, you're not going to, like, it's not going to indicate, because some people, they're out here being posers. You might see somebody with Mercedes Benz, you might see somebody out here with a Porsche, but they're in debt. They put that thing on their credit card, minimum payments. They ain't never gonna pay it off. And they're out here thinking, oh my gosh, I did some ting. I've noticed, so even if I were to survey my friends, yeah, most of them do either have a college background or do like have that, like very few of my friends. And I don't even know, and I just don't know what, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's just something that's just, I just consciously go towards people who I get along with. There's nothing malicious. I ain't, you know, some Dr. Evil trying to play, you know, like I ain't trying to do none of that. But I've noticed that I'm not the only one that does this. People just in like groups just pair up, and it's so interesting where like when I'm out in public, I see this all the time. I see like just certain like people where you can clearly tell them like these people are all in the same fraternity, all in the same sorority, all in the same, they're either in the same Bible study or something. I don't even know what group they're in, but they're in the same thing. And since I'm a bit socially, I guess you could say behind, I don't really move much in groups. Like when I socialize, it's more mainly one-on-one. So it kind of alleviates this, but it is interesting that this is kind of how I like kind of how just America works, where you may not judge people, you may not be allowed to judge people by their race, but you're definitely judged by your class. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. We'll be back on Wednesday. Try to upload Monday, Wednesday, Friday. My socials will be linked down below and at the end of this video. Thank you. See you soon.